Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are taking a look at our next game in my review series, and it is Grid Run, or more commonly known outside of Europe as Grid Runner. Now this game came out in 1996 on the Saturn, and it's kind of like a cross between Tag and Capture the Flag, where it's set up on a grid like maze, and you have to basically capture the flags to defeat your opponent. What you are met with, and I was quite surprised about this, was quite a detailed, in-depth storyline FMV to sort of set the scene for the game. So you control the protagonist Axel, who has a partner called Tara, and they're a pair of freelance adventurers, and they're sent out on a mission to the Gridonian asteroid field, a path that's between Earth and the Nether planets, to find out why ships have been mysteriously disappearing. Now, whilst they're investigating a deserted alien ship in the asteroid field, Axel is captured by an evil witch, Empress Vorga, who then forces Axel to play in her deadly games, competing against her 14 minions that she has control over. Now, what you have to do is beat all of these minions before you actually face off against Vorga herself, and hopefully escape from the ship before it explodes. Now, if you're like me and a fan of 80s action films, you may well think this strikes some kind of resemblance to the Arnold Schwarzenegger film, The Running Man, and that definitely crossed my mind when I saw the video and actually played the game. And thankfully, like Running Man, Grid Run has held up pretty well over the past 20 plus years. So once the game is loaded up, it's pretty straightforward on the main menu. 1 player, 2 player, restoring your save game and changing the settings. The settings are pretty self-explanatory. Tutorial on for the start of the game. Handicap for your multiplayer. Sound and music volumes. Choose between stereo and mono and configure the controller. Now obviously the main bulk of the game is in the 1 player experience. So once you begin a 1-player game, you will be met with your first opponent, and it gives you a brief description of their planet and perhaps their strengths or weaknesses, and the first one you face off doesn't have any strengths basically. And the tutorial mode is pretty straightforward. It gives you a few tips and hints as you go along, and to basically learn the controls, learn what abilities your character can do as you face off against your opponent in the grid-like maze in your quest to capture the amount of flags designated to be victorious. Now, each planet is split up into 3 rounds, and each round gets progressively harder, and then you will go on to a bonus stage, which, dependent on how many hourglasses you picked up throughout the 3 stages, it will dictate how much time you get in the bonus stage. And in the bonus stage, you get the ability to power yourself further by collecting the items that are out there to increase your speed, your magic, and so forth. Now, graphically, I definitely would say that this game is pretty decent. It holds up pretty well for a 1996 game. I genuinely feel like it's a decent looking title. It's got a good mixture of polygonal areas with sort of like a 2D underlay at the base underneath the 3D polygonal areas, what I should say. Pre-rendered sprites as your character and the enemies, and I genuinely feel like the graphics serve the game really well. Each of the planets looks unique, completely different. You've got different weather effects going on each one as well, and I definitely would point the graphics as a highlight, a definite strength of this game. I haven't really got anything bad to say. The game runs really well, and there isn't really anything negative, I don't think, to say about this game, especially for saying it is, like I said, 1996. talking about the sounds and the music of the game, it's pretty much not a highlight for me. The sounds are all functional for the different magic spells that you can pull off and the different items you can collect and shooting your bullets. It's all functional sounds. There's nothing spectacular, definitely nothing revolutionary there. In terms of the music, it's what I would describe as pretty generic, pretty much ho-hum mid-90s action game music. It's definitely not a strength of the game, and I can't really say there's any memorable tunes. Sat here talking about it, I'm trying to recapture the music in my mind, and I simply can't do it. So unlike Toshinden, where I highlighted some of the music tracks, and definitely they were pretty decent on that game, I can't really say the same about Grid Run. Now, the way this game plays is also a strength of the game. It's actually really good. Moving your character around is smooth, it's responsive, there's no input lag like I spoke about in Toshinden last week. This game doesn't suffer from any of that. Each button's got a different function, whether it's shooting your bullets, dropping your mines, building your bridges to move across gaps. All works really well. The Saturn pad is actually really good for this, and I haven't got any bad things to say about the way it plays, in all fairness. It genuinely is. It's addictive, which is what you want a game like this to be. It's got that one more go feel. If you lose on the third round of a planet and you're like irritated, you want to do it again, which is a really good thing, which you've got to complete all 3 levels in one go before you can save and move on to the next planet. If you die on the 2nd or 3rd level, you go back to the 1st level of the planet and you've got to do all 3 of them again. So bear that in mind and make sure you save your game regularly. So, talking about the lifespan, thankfully this game does pretty well in that department too. It's got over 50 levels in the one-player mode and plenty of different planets and different enemies to see, so there's a lot to enjoy and sort of like dig your teeth into in the one-player mode really as well. Now, it's a 2-player mode, so that's always an important thing. With a game like this, it sort of like thrives in 2-player mode, a bit like Bust a Move that I reviewed a few weeks back. It really thrives in the 2-player mode, you know, tagging your friend and then capturing the last flag before they get to it, stuff like that. It's addictive, it makes you want to face off against your friends or whoever you're playing with time and time again, and that gives the game playability nowadays as well. It's definitely not a game that's aged badly. It's absolutely fine graphically, like I said. It functions, it still looks alright. Gameplay wise, fantastic again as well. And obviously having a multiplayer mode means this game is perfectly playable to this very day. Now you're probably going to guess the answer to this last question that I'm going to say, and that's, is this worth playing today? Without a doubt, yes. There isn't really any competition for a game like this on the Saturn, not off the top of my head. Anyway, it's a combination of puzzle, action, and that mixture of, and as well as being so unique, it just makes it appealing to this day. Now, if you can get yourself a copy from CEX, it's £18 there. That's probably going to be the best way to buy it. I've only seen it in stock once in the whole time I've been looking for Saturn games in the past year or so, so it's definitely not common. If you're going to buy it off eBay, you're probably going to have to pay a little bit more, because I don't really think it's in stock too much on there. That being said, Grid Run, without a doubt, a resounding yes from me. It's a great game and it's fun, it's enjoyable. That is it for today. Have you guys ever played Grid Run? Do you own it? What are your opinions of Grid Run? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time for another Saturn review. Goodbye for now.